Tonight's guest is James Glover. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, it's great having you here. James, please give us a brief bio on yourself.
Well, I'm just an average guy. Stay here in Texas. I'm a manager at my job, Subway. And other than that, I'm just an old country boy from the country who loves to be out in the country.
What kinds of things did you do out there when you were growing up?
Oh, fishing, hunting, playing horseshoes, climbing trees, tip-top of pine tree. Fearless. Absolutely fearless. Helping my dad. He was a farmer. And, we set up irrigation pipes, and I actually learned how to drive. Well, he taught me how to drive a tractor. And I was one of the first high school students out there that was down in, it's called Araby, Georgia, a little small town for about I'd say 200 people at the most. And it was so much fun for me to be that young and able to actually drive a tractor and plow a field up. It was so much fun.
Well, I bet that was fun. What did you grow on your farm?
They were growing, it was my dad's boss, man. Anywhere from peanuts to cotton to soybeans, little stuff like that. He had a pretty large farm out there and a lot of ponds around there. And that's how, I actually learned how to fish, because he would allow us to give us a key to open the gates up and go back there and do a lot of fishing as long as we kept it clean around his ponds.
Well, that sounds like a fair deal to me. Not bad at all. Your encounter happened in the mid-'80s in Georgia there, you said. Where in Georgia, though, did you say it was that the encounter happened, and what can you tell us about the place?
It was Vienna, Georgia, and where I stayed, it was called Cordial, Georgia, where I stayed, and it was about 9 miles away from where we stayed at. That's where my grandparents stayed at. And it was about 4 to 6 miles out from the city. They stayed in the country. And I hated going there. I just did not. It was just boring. Actually boring. Nothing but country, fields, and woods. That's it. And that was a great place to go, for peace and quiet. But that was too much peace and quiet for me.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. All that peace and quiet and all the woods and being out in the country like that, you can get into all sorts of fun things and all, as long as you have that imagination, I guess.
That's right, especially at night, nice and cool. I used to go out and watch the stars, the moon when it comes up and all that, and just clean air, fresh air to breathe. Nighttime, we just sit outside sometime, me and my brother, and just play with our little pellet guns.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. If all kids grew up that way, the world really would be a much better place, but yeah, we know that.
It would be. It would be.
Unfortunately. If you grew up in the country like that, had you heard about cryptids before the night when you had that encounter?
No, never even heard the word cryptid. The only thing that I can remember from back then was our dad taking us to see I forgot the name so long ago, but it was a Bigfoot movie. And it was a drive-through at that time. And, we were sitting in the car with little speakers put up on your car. And it was a Bigfoot movie. And to me, it's just, entertainment. Scared me half to death, but, it was entertainment. And, like I say, that movie there, it was nothing like, was anything in the woods. Because, like I say, me and my brother, we feared absolutely nothing. We'd go deep into the woods and just stay out there, black dog, 2 and 3 miles away from home, no flashlight or nothing, walking through the woods, pushing bushes of our way, didn't care where we come out at, because we could always find our way back to either the house in Arabic, Cordial, or even Bayern, where my grandparents stayed.
Yeah, well, that's all the fun stuff to do, so that's a good way to grow up.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think by chance that movie that you saw at the drive-in might have been The Legend of Boggy Creek, or do you think it was another movie?
No, it was another movie, because The Legend of Boggy Creek, I've seen that one. I enjoy any kind of monster pictures. I love them. Godzilla, King Ghidorah, any kind of monster picture. I love to watch them. And like I say, I watched one werewolf movie back then, but it was just the guy A human, just a human like with a little hair on his face. Nothing spectacular. The same size of the people he's chasing. And I really didn't watch anything like that. If it wasn't Godzilla or this kind of monster coming up, a giant squid, a giant shark or something like that right there, I never watched it. And the only reason we went to see that Bigfoot movie was that my younger brothers, they want to go see it. And since I was there, I had to tag along. My dad forced us to go. Me and my older brother. And like I said, I never knew anything about any cryptid other than, something like a Loch Ness monster with Scotland. I'm saying, okay, they'll never find it. Because to me, it wasn't there. To me, nothing was there. And over the years, I had that same concept until
you found yourself about 18 inches away from that Dogman you found yourself face to face.
That's right. That changed everything.
Yeah, I'll bet it did. And from the way you worded that, I wasn't sure if you were saying that they're never going to find it, talking about Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, or if you're talking about Sasquatch. Because after seeing that movie, I was going to ask you if you believed at that point, after seeing that movie, which I kind of wonder if it wasn't the creature of Black Lake, the creature from Black Lake that you saw. I'm wondering after seeing that movie, if maybe you started to believe in their existence, or did you still not think they were real?
Nothing could convince me. Like I say, I was so used to seeing Godzilla and the sea monsters and all that, which I was back then 100% sure. Okay, they're not there. And here's just another movie, but this is about a different kind of monster. This is some 7, 8 foot ape-like thing running around. And then I couple that with me being out in the woods so much in different areas of Georgia, even in Florida. And I've never seen anything remotely close to anything like I've seen on television. So I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see a 300-foot fire-breathing monster. So I had that same concept with something like a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot. And over the years, I watched Snow Beast and I watched all these around here. And I'm like, okay, all this snow, I'm not going up there. So if it exists, I'm never going to see it.
Well, you had every reason to believe that. That is until the night when you had that encounter, unfortunately.
That's right.
And talking about all that time that you spent in the woods with your brother, running around doing all those fun things, what did seeing that Dogman from such a close range do to your interest in heading back into the woods and getting into things?
It did absolutely nothing. It didn't stop me at all because, like I say, we were fearless then, and we figured we were indestructible. I've been at the tip top of pine trees. I've been hanging off bridges, train tracks of anything, swimming in snake-infested water, and chasing snakes in water, picking up rattlesnakes, picking up moccasins, and nothing scared me. And as long as I had something in my hand, like a gun out there, I'm at that age thinking I could stop anything that's around there, because actually I've never seen anything larger than a deer. So I had absolutely no fear of anything. It'll either get me or I get it.
Well, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, like I said before, you didn't have any reason to believe these guys would have been out there. Now, after you saw that Dogman, especially when you were face to face with the thing, that's different. Then you saw for yourself. You saw with your own eyes that these things are real. But
that's right.
I'm glad it didn't hamstring your interest in heading back into the woods. Thank goodness for that.
It did, but don't think it didn't put me on alert. When we went after that, I was 100% on alert.
Well, I can understand why you would be. Yeah, that's what I would expect. All right, James, please tell us about this encounter now. Give us every last detail that comes to mind.
Okay. Like I say, I grew up in Cordial, Georgia, a small town of about 5,000. And my grandparents stayed in about 8 to 9 miles away, Vienna, Georgia, in the country. And I hated going to visit my grandparents on the weekends. We just had absolutely nothing to do. One television in the house. We couldn't watch it because the grown-ups were watching it. So we were stuck outside. And I'm one of 6 siblings, 5 boys and 1 sister. And I have an older brother, and his name is exactly the same as mine, but the middle name is different. His name is James Evans Glover. My name is James Panzo Glover. I'm named after my dad. I'm the second oldest, but I'm the junior. And each Friday, school's out, my mama get us in the car, and we go up there to spend the entire weekend up there. Extremely boring. And for the first, I'd say 1983 to 85, my dad brought two 177 caliber pump pellet guns, one for me and my brother. And so that gave us a little bit of excitement to go down there, because my granddad, that's where they stayed at, 6 miles from the city, and it was a small city also. He had fishing poles and stuff and reels and rods down there, and we'd go to his boss man and just go down and go fishing. And on this particular day, we went down there, and me and my brother went fishing. We took our pellets gun with us, and we was fishing, and my brother caught a pretty decent sized catfish. And so we brought it back, and my granddad, that's when I first learned how to skin a catfish. He showed us how to do that. And then he said, y'all gonna go shoot rabbits, squirrels, and anything like that, bring them back too. And so we go down there and do the hunting, come back to the old house. Now the house was sitting about 10 yards from a dirt road with a little mailbox out there where, the mail, drop the mail off. And it was like a U. You got a field on the right side of it, field on the left side, and behind it was a field, and just that little driveway. So the house was sitting up on concrete blocks all the way around it, and it was sitting up pretty high. It slanted a little bit to the left, but it was pretty high. And as we go there, we could crawl up under the house, and being so boring, if we wasn't hunting with the pellets gun, we'd take old tires. My granddad had a shed that he kept old, worn out tires in. There was an outhouse there. There was running water, but there was no toilet in there. And so people generally used the outhouse. And so we'd run around there and we'd play, and it was an irrigation ditch about 50 yards from the house with a little field go at, where you can walk around the driveway, a little dirt road. You can go in there to get to the pond down there. And for entertainment purposes, when it rained, it kind of fills it with water. We go down there and splash around in the water and play in the water, or crawl up under the house. And that house was just that high enough we could crawl up under it and play. We play hide and go seek. And the window where I seen that thing at, it was sitting up quite high. It was a small window. It couldn't open. It couldn't pull up or push out anything. It just built into the house. And I'd say it was about the size of a small picture frame. I'd say 2 foot, 2 by 2 foot. Really small. To see in that window, we had to take one of our granddad's old tires. That's when our sister or little brother ran there and tried to hide up under the bed playing hide and go seek, or police and robbers. We stand that tire up, and I was about 5'5". My brother was a little taller than me, older brother, and even he had to stand up on that tire, put your hand up against that side of the house, and tiptoe just to see in that window. And so, like I say, that was the only entertainment we had. And so later on that day, we went down there again. We caught the fish. My grandma cooked them, and we ate. We went down there hunting again. And like I say, nothing out of the ordinary. Couple of rabbits here, couple of quails we saw, couldn't get them with a pellet gun. They fly off. And we came back, and we just sat around the house, go down to the little irrigation ditch, play in the water, and come back. And it started getting dusk dark that night. And we were sitting around there, just me and my brother with the 2 pellet guns, shooting pennies that we would put out there on the mailbox that was like 10 yards away. And we had got just that good, excellent shots with those pellet guns. And so, well, let me start with what happened before that, until the bigger guns. My dad eventually brought my brother a 12-gauge Revelation shotgun. I was mad and hurt at the same time. I'm with a 177 caliber pellet gun. He had a 12-gauge Revelation shotgun. And so as he's going down there with that shotgun, when we used to go down there and hunt, I really didn't want to go. I've got this weak 177. He got this 12 gauge shotgun with bird shots and dove shots, quail shots, and all that. And my granddad didn't like a moping boy. And so he told me to open that trunk up. And I'm figuring he's getting a belt out to tan my rear. And it was a bolt action shotgun. I'll say it again, a bolt action shotgun with a clip, hold 5 shells. He said, you take that gun. And I prayed that that gun was a 12 gauge to accommodate the shells my brother had. And it was. And so we'd go down there and practice shooting with the shotguns and all this. And came back sitting out and back to where we were sitting out, just shooting with the pellet guns and all that. We went from pellet guns to shotgun. And it was now getting to be a little bit fun to go down to my granddad's house. So on that particular night, inside the house, it was a 3-bedroom house. My mother slept in the one room, and the siblings, my sister slept in a bed across from, there was 2 beds in that back bedroom. My sister slept in that bed with my younger brother, and the 4 boys slept in the other beds, a king size bed, but we slept at an angle so that everybody would fit. And by that little small window, I always slept there, and we had a fan to the bottom of it, and my granny had an old grandfather clock with a very dim light, but you can actually see the time at night. And so I'm laying in that bed that particular night, laid down. I'll never forget this. It was 1 o'clock because I remember looking over at that clock when I woke up. And what woke me up as I was laying down back, and from the way I lay back, I could actually couldn't see the glass part of the window, but you could see where it was. And I was laying up against the wall with my face turned the wall and my head up against the wall. I love to sleep that way. And that particular night, I was awakened to some tapping or scratching like on the window. It sounded like that. And I'm like, okay, so something's happening on the window or something's tapping somewhere. And if you were to sit up from where I slept, you'd be looking directly at that window, less than a 1.5 feet away. And as I sat up, I came face to face with what I perceived as a monster or alien or something. I'm just looking at it, and all I could see was its face and its hands. Its hands froze. 2 things I noticed. Its hands stopped moving, and its ears went backwards, and it froze. It froze. I froze. And I'm there just looking at it, and it's looking at me. And I'm looking at his eyes and his hands. At that time, I didn't see a snout because as I learned, its face was down. It had it like down like its snout was into its chest as it was looking down, but its hands were still both hands. And I say hands, I can guarantee you they were hand-like. I hear a lot of people say raccoon-like hands. Raccoon-like hands, and what I later learned, like a little dog I got. And I watched this thing for over an hour and a half then, looking at, just sitting up, looking at, well, about 45 minutes sitting up looking at it. And I laid back down, but I laid at an angle, almost on top of one of my younger brothers. And I laid at an angle where I could watch this thing. And only thing on it moved was his eyes. His eyes followed me as I laid down. I'm laying there trying to figure out, what is this? I'm trying to eliminate, like I say, I feared nothing. It wasn't scared of nothing. It didn't scare me because there was no aggression in it. Didn't see no teeth. Didn't hear no growling. Didn't see nothing that would say this thing is trying to attack, harm, or do anything. It was like it was shocked that I sat up and looked at it, was like curious. And as I'm laying back, looking at it from an angle, I glanced over after a while passed by, and now it's 3 o'clock. I remember when I looked at it, happened on the window, it was 1 o'clock. Now it's 3 o'clock. So I'm still watching this thing, trying to figure out what it was. I eliminated a person because there was only 2 houses other than my granddad's house. That was his boss man, which was about 100 yards to the right, facing the house, and his son about 400 to 600 yards to the left. And they know full well about those shotguns. And I'm quite sure that they're not going to come there. And plus, they wasn't going to be tall enough anyway. They'd had to sit up on the tires too just to look into that house, that window. And I'm watching this thing, trying to figure out what it was, and it's not moving. I'm not moving at this time. And all of a sudden, it's like time just went by, and I awoke the next day. And when I woke up, I immediately looked at the window. Nothing. So I'm chalking this up as, okay, I done had a bad dream. Before I woke up, I tried to eliminate an owl up there scratching the window, chasing a little rat or something, a long shot, a deer kind of looking in the window. No. That wasn't what that thing was. But to me, not believing in anything monstrous like that, I chalked it up as a dream. Yeah, I chalked it up into a dream until my older brother, who slept on the end by the 2 shotguns, told me, "Did you see that thing in the window last night?" I said, "Yes, I did." And I don't know what time he saw it. I don't know if he saw it before I woke up or after I laid down at an angle. I don't know what. We never discussed that. And so it was that Friday night when I seen it. That Saturday morning, me and my brother got up, loaded the shotguns, buckshot, slug, buckshot. And I feared for the safety of my grandfather and my grandmother. No one else said anything remotely close about seeing something like that down there. My grandmother did, my granddad didn't say anything like that. Never heard anything from his boss man or his boss man's son, because we're seeing him when we go fishing down there. And his name was Mr. L, E.L. That was my dad's boss man, my granddad's boss man. And I'm like, okay, my granddad and my grandmother, they're old. And he can't maneuver that shotgun like we can. And so me and my brother said, okay, what we're going to do, the ditch in front of the house was about 4 to 5 foot deep. That's what kept the water from coming up into the yard, having it muddy. That's why they dug that ditch out, and it led into that irrigation ditch. It's about 40 to 50 yards away. That's why it was pretty deep. When it was dry, we get in there and play in the dirt in our old outside clothes. So that Saturday night, I said about 11, 12 o'clock, everybody that's in the house laying down for sleep. Me and my brother went out there with those 2 shotguns and laid in that ditch, waiting on it. And like I said, it was an outhouse there, and the old shed had a really dim light there that they should have had closer to the outhouse in case anybody wanted to use it. And that night when I saw that thing, I was thinking at that time, if anybody go out that back door trying to use the outhouse, my mother and grandmother pretty much wouldn't, because they had an old pan in there they used in there to relieve themselves. But my granddad would, and my brothers would. We'd take our younger brothers out there if they had to use a bathroom like that. My older brother and me would just go out there unarmed. We didn't care. And I said, if I hear that back door open, I'm waking my brother up and we grabbing those shotguns. But like I said, that never happened. So when we was laying in that ditch, waiting to see what this thing come back, nothing. 12 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock, nothing. And so we got tired of sitting there in that ditch, waiting on this thing. And so later on, my dad brought me a 30-06. And even then I was mad at him because, okay, this shotgun, when he shoot, it spreads out and hits thing. I got just one bullet coming out. But I eventually learned, to shoot the shotgun. It had a scope of the 30-06. It had a scope on it. Mr. L had a 30-06. He had targets on a tree down going toward this pond. And he told me, yes, I could shoot it. And so one day I was just shooting at that target and never hit it. I said, hold up. I'm flawless with a pellet gun and that shotgun. Why am I missing? And he eventually told me, because your scope isn't sighted in. That's when I learned about sighting in the scope. So he did it for me. And here I go again. Perfect aim. And so dusk dark on any given night we were down there, it was an old pot in the backyard. Now I want to see this thing full body. Only thing I saw was face, his ears fold back, head, and hands. That's all I seen. I to this day, I wished I would have seen that thing entire body. But I didn't, because I didn't know what it was. I wanted to know what I've seen. I'm still in the mindset of, I didn't think anything about a dog man or werewolf or anything like this. Right? That didn't even cross my mind. Bigfoot didn't even cross my mind. Nothing. The only thing was a monster. Years went by. My granddad passed, and my mother and her sister moved my grandmama in town. That eliminated us going out to the country again. And so years passed by. My grandmother's passed, my mother's passed, my father's passed, and all that. And I came to Texas. Got married. Had a son up here. And so he's 12 years old. And like I said, I started working at Subway. I became assistant manager. Moved into an apartment, nice apartment. And my son wanted a dog. I said, okay, if I can find you a dog, I will get you a dog. I went on Craigslist, and some Chihuahuas were for sale. 3 boys, 1 girl. And I called the guy and said, could you hold me 1 boy? He said, yes, I will, but they're not weaned yet. Anybody don't know what that means? Is that when they're old enough to be taken away from their mother dog. When they're old enough, their eyes open, and they're old enough to be taken away. And as soon as that happened, he called me. It was in Belton, Texas. I stay here in Killeen, Texas. And I drove to Belton, Texas in the country and got the dog. My son named him Zero. And, we raised him up to a good size. And, like I say, that's when I was on here watching a Bigfoot movie one day, and then on YouTube, and it automatically, when the movie went up, it shifted to Vic Cunniff's Bigfoot encounters. And so I'm like, okay, here we go again. People seeing these things out there. And then I start watching it, and then I start hearing if anybody's have a Dogman encounter. I'm like, what's a Dogman? And so I clicked on one of those videos and started watching it. And even then, nothing clicked, because from what people were describing, it looked nothing like I seen. Granted, I didn't see the entire body, but it intrigued me. I love entertainment. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, until this little dog I got about to be 1.5 years, 2 years old. I'm playing with him one day on the bed. I still got him now, and I'm looking at him right now, and I'm playing with him on the bed. And I hold my arm up, and he jumped up on my arm, and he threw his 2 front paws across my arm and put his head across my arm, and he bent his entire head down. When he did that, images immediately flashed back through my mind. That's exactly what I saw in that window, looking at me. Only 100 times bigger. Bigger head, wider. And as I started thinking back, yes, that's why I couldn't really tell of the snout, because it was down. I seen the nose. Wide, black nose. Similar to my dog's. Same eyes. Black eyes, just a little bit of white I can see in there. Ears, slightly like my dog, not identical, but when I first set up and his hand stopped in his ear. I noticed movement. My eyes noticed movement. Snakes or anything, nothing could sneak up on me because if it moved, I'm going to see a rabbit. I'm going to see it. And as ears went back, I glanced up and caught them going back. They never stood back up. They stayed folded back. And as this dog did that when I'm messing with him, because when I froze and looked at him, it kind of like, he was like, okay, what's wrong? And his ears went back. And that brought back memories of exactly what I saw. And I'm thinking, I actually saw a dog, man. And it took this dog, paws of this dog. If you take my dog's paw and make them twice as big, and I got some pretty big hands, make them twice as big as my hand and stretch them out for about 6 to 7 inches for each finger. I knew I seen 4 on each hand. I didn't count them, but I'm pretty sure it was 4. I didn't see the 5th one. I'm pretty sure it was there, but I knew I seen 4 long ones, and they were 6 to 7 inches long. The coloration, exactly like this, pretty much like this dog. He's brown. You want to know the color? Cardboard box, peanut butter. You get a jar of peanut butter, that's the color that thing was. Face wide, short hair. I didn't see shaggy hair or anything. It could have been on the body, but like I said, I didn't see the body. I just seen face and hands and ears. I didn't see any hair sticking up on the ear because, like I said, it went back. They was folded. When he folded back, they stayed that way for that duration of that time. And I'm like, okay, I don't believe this. All this time, we've been in these woods down here at my granddad's house, starting off with the pellet guns, graduated up to the shotguns, then eventually with the 30-06. And with that 30-06 down, I used to stand up on this big iron skillet or pot or whatever it was. It looked like a big witch's pot if you turn it back over, but it was upside down with 4 little metal legs sticking out. And I used to stand up on that and scan down by the pond. We used to go fishing it with my scope. It was a high power scope that came with it. Hoping that I could see this thing. Was it going down to that pond drinking water? I would have had to see it before it got to the pond because the pond kind of slopes down. If you stand there fishing, couldn't nobody see you from who I was or to my granddad's house. They had to walk back up the bank. And so I'm scanning it with my 30-06 scope, hoping that I could see this full thing. One day, my brother started dating a girl. Her name was Dorothy, and he was dating her, and her aunt was bringing her to Cartier. They stayed in Vienna, bring her to Cartier, and it was Highway 41, and it was a plant there, Georgia Pacific. Once you get to Georgia Pacific, you're hitting nothing but country. The road there, but you got woods on both sides. And as they was coming up there, they eventually told us they seen something brown running on 2 legs, ran across the car in the headlights from the left side of Georgia Pacific all the way to the other side of the road and into the woods. They said like a brief second they saw it. And at that time, I'm telling myself, okay, yeah, I saw something too looking at me in the window. We both seen them all. It's a big deal. And that's the way it went. Only thing I see until I had seen this old crazy dog I got here. Look just like it. And to this day, I will still tell people that that thing in that window shrunk down and came back to me because I got him right here. That's the mindset it put me in, because every time I see this dog and he make any gesture like that, even when he's playing with my son or he want to get up on the bed, he'll throw his 2 front paws up and lay his head down on the bed, looking at me, want me to pick him up. If he's too lazy to jump up on it, it just remind me of that thing I saw. Exactly like coloration, black nose, brownish black eyes with just a little white you can see. And I saw the white as it was moving, his eyes watching me as I was laying back at an angle. And to this day, like I said, I wish that I could have seen the entire thing. I wanted to see its legs, the build of its leg, knowing what I know now from watching Mr. Conniff, Dogman, and kind of thing. And I don't know if it was his or another one, but it was a lady on there I was watching one night that actually saw one, and she described something exactly what I saw. Her and her son, she was coming from work or somewhere, and she seen it at a garbage can. And she said, Chihuahua, this thing looked like a giant Chihuahua. I got a Chihuahua. If you take my dog and stand him up, that thing had to have been 8 to 9 feet tall just to look in that window. That tire was about pretty good sized tire on that car. It was a full size car. Old Ford. Those tires was tall. About 3.5 foot tall, 3 foot tall. I put it at 3 foot tall. And for us to stand on that tire, that would put us at around 8 feet tall and then you had to pull yourself up just to look into that little window. Like I said, it couldn't open. Because I knew it couldn't get in. I knew it couldn't get to me if it break the window. It couldn't just crawl through that window. It had to bust through that wall and then bring me back to where I saw that movie Silver Bullet. And I was thinking, I'm glad that thing didn't do that, bust through the wall. But even as I seen Silver Bullet or the other werewolf movie that I never watched, but I just seen some previews come up, nothing clicked. Until I seen this dog, or until I seen that podcast where that lady said she saw a Chihuahua looking thing, bright shape, and I never forget she was saying it was beautiful. I don't know if that was Mr. Vic's one or somebody else, but she was saying it was beautiful. And this thing I saw, it wasn't horrible. It just looked like a giant doggish. I wouldn't even say werewolf. Probably would if I would have seen the entire bill. I don't know if it had a tail or not. I don't know if its legs was like what they call it, hawks or something, or whatever they call it, anything like that. I don't know the length of its arms. I don't know if it walked with sloped over. I didn't know if it had a hump or anything in its back or anything. I didn't know if its arm was down by its knee because, like I say, I didn't see the whole thing. I wish now that I had seen the entire thing. There was even time I was telling my brother, I wish we could have snuck out the front door, back door, and crawled up under the house from another angle and shot it in his leg and knocked it down or something. But I'm glad we didn't, knowing now. But it intrigued me for 40-some years. And it took me that long to find out what I actually saw. And like I said, when my dog did that, it came back as if I was back there then. It came back as clear as day. I could now finally identify what I saw. And that put a lot of things into perspective. That's when I started watching this show more and more. And I've actually met people. There was a man named Mr. Rachel that stayed in Cordell, Georgia. At that time, I'm a young man and I'm listening to him. I'm in the Rachel supermarket. He's telling the story about he's seen a Sasquatch somewhere. And at that time, I'm like, yeah, right. But it takes you back now. That I know there are things out there that people have seen, but they just can't identify it, make somebody believe what they saw. Like I said, it was a time we was going down there and there was a rattlesnake that we had to stop because it was crossing the road. And I knew it was a rattlesnake because I seen the end of it. It's rattles. It was going from one field to the other. The biggest rattlesnake I've ever seen in my life. I guarantee that thing was over 15, 16 foot long. But like I say, I can't prove it. To me, I know 100% what I saw. No mistake about my brother. Same thing. Same coloration. Same eyes. Same hand. He saw the entire thing. Never told anybody other than a couple of people at work. Never asked my granddad, my grandmother. Never told my mother. Never told my uncle who used to come on in and visit my granddad who was there sometime. Never told my first cousin. Never told anybody because I never heard anybody speak of anything. Granted, there was only 3 houses that you got. Well, you can see a 4th house, but it was further up from a V-shaped road, the dirt road, and one veered off. It was one house about I say a little bit over 1,000 yards. You can see, never talked to those people, didn't even know them. No one ever said anything like that other than Mr. Rachel about he's seen a Sasquatch. And I chalked that off being young as I was. Okay, he misidentified something, but no. All these people, they're seeing something. I know what I saw. I know for a fact it was a dog man. Exactly what, not like the people described, but I guess a different variation of it. It may have been the same thing. It may have just been the color. All I could see in that small, I wish it was I don't wish it was a bigger wonder, but at the same time, I wish it was a bigger wonder because I could have seen more of it. Snout, Lord, hands, like it was like they put your hand across the fence and then it hang down. 2 hands across the fence. That's exactly had his hand up against it as it was, had it hanging over something. The screen was tore. It was grassy. My granddad had a lawnmower, but even if he mowed it, no footprints. The fields had no plants there. My granddad had just plowed it up. And being that young, I didn't think about to go out there in that field to see, did it go that way? It was a field in front of on the other side of the dirt road, and one on both sides of the house and behind it, leading back to the pond and the other woods. We didn't think to go look to see was there any footprints out there. To see, try to gauge the size. I know it was tall, and I know it had a big head and big hand, and that's it. Like I said, I didn't see any other body, chest-wise, a little bit of the shoulder, feet. Did it have a tail or not? I don't know. I wish I would have went out there and checked the plowed up field, because I'm pretty sure it was some tracks there if it went that way. Because like I say, I fell asleep as I was watching it, so I don't know what time it left, what direction it went in. All I know that it was there. It woke me up. It tore the screen a little bit to get to it. That time, I had to get to the screen. Screen was about, I guess, 2 inches separated the screen from the actual little glass window. And that's when I didn't see any claws. Because of the way it was bent down, I could just see the fingers folded over. I didn't see any claws, talons, or anything like that. I just saw the brown coloration. There was no hair on the fingers. You could see the short hair on his face. I could see that. Clearly see that. And then, like I say, it was this peanut butter color, cardboard box color, my dog color and everything. And that's what I saw. And I'm sitting there and I was trying to identify this thing. What am I looking at? What is this thing? I'm not scared because it never made any aggressive movement, gesture, or anything. That's one reason I wasn't scared. Second reason I wasn't scared, we got 2 fully loaded shotguns, a bolt action and a pump shotgun. Less than, I'd say, 11 feet from me, from the other side of that bed, leaning up against where that old grandfather clock was. Fully loaded buckshot slug. So if it bust that window, I'm going for the gun. Somebody go out the back door, I'm like, stop. Or they get out there before we can get up. We're running out there. My granddad had an old high-powered flashlight in case somebody need to use that at our house. They take that flashlight, old yellow flashlight, with like 4 bulbs in it. You cut that thing on, there's a zoom in or zoom out. And like I say, to this day, I wish I had took that flashlight that me and my brother, and just whether it ran off or whatever it did, I really wish to this day I could have. I know what it was by face and hands, but I really wanted to see the size of it, because like I see when I watch Mr. Condon thing, people seen the entire thing. They seen his legs, his arm, his body, the side. They could gauge the weight of it. I couldn't do none of that because, like I say, all I saw was face and hands and his ears fold back. I never forget the face, never forget the hand, and I never forget the ears. And both ears folded back instantly, like it not in a threatening motion. Like my dog, he'll do it when he's see something. He hear a strange noise, those ears, he'll perk up and his ears will go back. Or I look at him strange, his ears will go back. It's like, what you doing? I'm sure that thing trying to figure out what I was. And to this day, how many times have that thing watched me fish? Watched me go down there and hunt. Or just go down there just to get away from my aggravating brothers and sisters. Just go down there and just walk up in the woods. Sometimes I went by myself. Hundreds of times. Climbing trees down there, just sitting up there in the cool breeze, up in a tree at the time with a pellet gun, at the time with a BB gun. I never went down with a shotgun. I never went down there with my 30-06. Never. I just stayed there with the scope on it, scanning the surroundings, trying to see, can I see this thing? I want to see the whole thing. Will it come back? Never did. From the years passed by, never seen anything like it. I watched that window. There was time of night I woke up and I didn't sit straight up this time. I went to an angle. Nothing. Never seen it again. But I wonder how many times has it been there watching us? Had it watched my mother in the other room? Did it look out the other window? And what did it watch? Was it watching my grandfather and grandmother? Those doors was, you took a nail, took a piece of, like a 6-inch piece of wood and nailed the nail through it. That's the only thing kept the back door closed. You nail that nail into the wall with that stick on, and you turn that stick and it'll hold that door. Front door had just a little silver thing screwed into it, and then a latch that they put down into it. Like a circle on the end of it, of a circle on the end of a screw, and you screw it in, and then you put that latch on there, and you latch it. Those were the only thing holding, keeping those doors from being open. My younger brother could have kicked it in. I'm quite sure that thing could have come through that flimsy house. It could have got in if it wanted to. It could have come through that. One little small shove, that nail, and that thing was coming out. Because we've done it. We couldn't have thinking the door was open, but it was locked. And we pushed on that door and had to nail it back in at a different place. Because, once you nail it in there, it'll get loose. That thing could have got in there. And that's what worried me and my brother. That's why we were sitting out in that ditch, hoping to see this thing. And yes, at that time, we were mad set on killing it. But like I say, over the years, I went to being grown. I'm like, that thing, it actually posed no threat. It didn't threaten me. I guess it more like curious. I was a bigger threat than it. I'm the one, with the shotguns over there. I'm a bigger threat to it than it was to me. That's what I've learned over the years. Now, if we would have went out there, I don't know what it would have did. Would it have ran off? Would it have attacked us? Like I say, there was no gesture of hostility from this thing. I'm glad at this age that I actually got to identify what I see called it. Put my mind at rest. This little dog of mine laying here, Zero, put my mind at ease because I now know what I saw. My older brother now know what he saw. And he, as we talked about it, older and all that, he didn't say werewolf. He didn't say Dogman, anything like that. And, I'm going to ask him one of these days. I'm saying, I want you to check out something. I'm going to send him a picture. I'm going to put this dog in that same position. I guarantee you. He's going to say, that's what I saw. Because as he told me, same coloration, same eyes, same hands, everything. Identical. And I'm like, I done seen a dog, man. The word werewolf didn't come out because to me, a man change and growing bone mass and mouth stretching out, that's inconceivable to me. But like I say, once I seen that put me at like, okay, you didn't believe in that. Monsters. You didn't believe in when you was watching these podcasts. You didn't believe in Bigfoot. You didn't believe in Dogman. You didn't believe in that. But you just didn't know you saw one. Took this little dog and it took that lady describing the one she seen in a garbage can, and it took this dog for me to finally figure out what I seen. And I can just close my eyes and bring that image back up perfectly. I now know the details of it. How it's not, if it would have lifted its snout up, I would have seen it was long. I can tell it was long because his eyes was up above a little bit, even to the top of that window. So I had about a foot of window to see at his snout. So I know that snout was at least a foot long because I seen the tip of his nose. As far as showing his teeth, no. Growling, no sound. Obviously no smell because we know we're inside the house. Nothing. Only movement was his ears, eyes, and his hand when it was tapping on that window. When I stood up, I must have surprised it and it froze. Never took his eyes off me. Never. At no time did it take, and at no time will I took my eyes off it. A couple times, looking over to see if anybody going out that door and then see what time it was. And like I said, I'm glad that I got this dog, because it put my mind at rest, because I for years and years and years, I'm trying to figure out what did you see, James? What did you see? I hear about these Dogmen now because I started watching this right, and I still do. And after this, I'm going to watch some more. Because now I'm intrigued. Like I said, I'm here in Texas, and I've even seen, on some of these podcasts, people in various parts of Texas close around where I stayed. They have seen them. I go to a ranch with a friend of mine out here who I have a 30-hour cycle with night vision, thermal vision, and all that. And I go to his ranch because we target practice out there to sight our guns in, to sight our thermals in, and night vision, infrared, and all that. And I'm just wondering why we out here doing this, or how many times I've been here in Texas in these woods fishing and hunting. What was looking at me? These noises out here in the woods, maybe could it have been, like I said, although I wasn't paying attention because my mindset was, the biggest thing you're going to see is a cow. We're seeing some coyotes, no bears up there for us, I know. And that certainly was no bear looking at me in that wonderland. I thought about that. There wasn't no bear. I know exactly what a bear is. I know what a bear looks. I've seen them walking around, not at zoos and all that. And like I said, that night I eliminated everything. I eliminated deer. A deer stand up would have been a very big deer, but not with hands like that. Not with a face like that, not with ears like that, not with eyes like that, and not a head that big. That basketball, take a basketball and a football. Place that football at the bottom of that basketball in there a little bit, and you'll have basically what the size of that thing, what I was looking at. And with his head down and his snout down. That's what I saw. And it took this dog here. He's about, I put him at 15 pounds. A little small dog. This little small Chihuahua. It's a Chihuahua and a Wiener dog combination to come up with a Chihuahua. He's got a little long body. Pretty good, decent sized snout on him. And like I said, he's got pretty big eyes. And the thing, eyes were big. Here, let me tell you that his eyes were big. Bigger than a silver dollar. Yes, bigger than a silver dollar. The fingers far longer and larger than mine. That should have scared me there when you see the size of his finger. But like I say, I focus on the finger. What took my eyes off the fingers when his ears went back, and I kind of glanced up, looked at his ears, but then right up under that, there go his eyes. And so we locked eyes. I know people say things get aggressive. You lock eyes, what I learned over the years. But at that age, I couldn't help it. When we locked eyes, it was like a sense of, I'm trying to figure out what it is, and it's trying to figure out what I am, or why I'm looking at it like that. Why I'm not scared. There was nothing like any mind speak without now here on some of them, nothing like that. No sense of dread or anything. I had a sense of security because A, I'm inside the house. B, a small window. C, 2 loaded shotguns over there. And so I'm pretty much secure. Now, it was a bigger window. We only had a pellet gun. If we would have came at that time, probably would have scared me half to death. I probably would have jumped. I'm glad my younger siblings didn't wake up. The 3 between me and the 2 between me and my older brother. It was 6 of us. My sister and one, that's 2. And 4, the 2 between me and my brother. Cause my other younger brother slept with my sister in the other bed. Had they woke up and looked at it, I guarantee you they would have been hollering and screaming. The thing probably would have ran away. I probably could have run outside with that flashlight. Probably got to look at it then. But I know if they would have said, or somebody went out that door and that thing would have confronted them, it would have been some screaming and hollering. So I'm glad that didn't happen. Like I say, It was no aggression to it. It was nothing to scare me. It just put me on alert to know now, watch your surroundings more, because we went hunting after that. We went fishing after that. Never seen anything close or remotely close to what, I've seen that one. He was on alert too, my older brother, because we now find ourselves coming back up out of there when we got a little light. We never took any flashlight. That was not that. The only thing we took was more shells in our jacket pockets, and that was it. Sometimes we had the shotguns, tied a rope around it, because we didn't have anything, the straps or anything. Tied a rope around them, just threw them over our shoulders, and took the pellet gun, because we didn't want to shoot the little birds, little turtles in the little pond with the shotgun. So we took the pellet guns too. But we always made sure we had those shotgun buckshot slug, and we went down there. But like I say, we never seen anything, no footprints or anything or nothing like that. We wasn't looking for it. But that's my encounter. And like I say, those two things, that gigantic snake and that thing I saw in the window. And it now put me into, I know there are things out there, because like I said, I've heard people say what they saw. Things of what they saw out there. Skinwalkers. I had a guy up here. There was a guy up here, wrecked his car coming from Gatesville, Texas. I met him in Gatesville. I had to take one of my brothers to court down there. In the court, when he was talking about, he wrecked his car because he saw a skinwalker. And that was the first time I ever heard that word, a skinwalker. He wrecked his car for a skinwalker. And it was, like I said, at that time, that was before I had this dog. I'm like, okay, what's a skinwalker? Looked it up. Oh yeah, okay. Here we go again. He probably was drunk and just ran a car off the road. You talk things like that, but after I found out what I saw, I'm not putting nothing past anybody or what they saw. I was in the Navy, San Diego, California, seeing things paper-wise. I was a radio man on a ship. USS Nimitz aircraft carrier. And I seen some top secret document. Nothing like, with cryptids or anything like that, but it was things. Seen a gigantic shark go up on a Mayako. It was the USS Mayako. It was the first ship I was on before I got transferred to the USS Nimitz as a radio man, telecommunication in there with sound powered telephone. I was on the USS Mayako, frigate, fast frigate, FFG. Well, not FFG. FF wasn't gas. It wasn't nuclear. It was just a FF. And I just seen a big white looking shark go up on it, or big fish go up on it and come back over. I used to hang off the side of that ship. Like I say, I wasn't scared of anything at that young age. Me and Daryl Darcy, a friend of mine, that was just hanging off the side of the ship. Like I say, nothing scared me. And I'm kind of glad I was in that mindset, because I didn't panic that night. I didn't fire a shot through that window or nothing like that. I'm just glad my brother, same way, wasn't scared of nothing. We see it. It attack us, we attack it. That's the mindset we're in. We figuring the shotguns can kill anything that we seen down there. Deer, wild boar, never killed a deer or a wild pig, anything like that. Just rabbits, squirrels, and a couple of ducks every now and then that land in that pond, and we can catch them before, because of the anger, we crawl up on them and jump up and they try to fly, bring them down with the shotguns. That's it. But up to this day, I wondered how many times had that thing watched us down there hunting? How many times had it seen my granddad plowing the field? How many times had it seen Mr. L out there target practicing with his rifle, him and his son? How many times had it seen anybody else that went down there fishing, had it just been sitting there watching? How long has it been down there? How many? Is it more than one? That's, thing went through my mind. If it's one, there's another. Did they have young? Was it some small ones down there? Could the little rustling in the bushes? Or could it have been it hiding or scurrying away? Because we heard talking up to a wild pig runner, because it was thick down there, really thick. That's why we wore a jacket. to keep from the little sticks from sticking and all that. We just push our way through. It didn't make no difference. We didn't try to find no path or anything. We walked directly through the bushes. We didn't care at that age. We go in black, dark, coming back, no light. We know that wherever we coming at, we're going to either come out by the road, Mr. L house or his son house, or the pond. We know we're going to eventually come out, and we walk far enough, we're going to hit that dirt road. You're going to guarantee to hit that dirt road, and we just know which way to walk, left or right, to get back to my granddad's house. So we didn't care. Snakes didn't care. We didn't even thinking about Dogman or Bigfoot, nothing like that. But at that time, monster. Is the thing still here? Is it gone? Was that the thing that Dorothy saw running across her and her aunt in front of that car? Was it? That was 5 miles away. Georgia Pacific to my grandma's house, about 5 miles away, leading back to Cartier. Was that it? Is it gone? Did it die? Is it still alive to this day? That's the thing. Yeah, it's still alive to this day. I got it right here. That's why I'm always jokingly saying my little dog is it. Just shrunk down and came back to me. But in reality, is it still alive? I'm still alive. My brother's still alive. Is it my older sibling still alive? Is it still there? Has it moved on? Has it made it? Or there more? Has anybody else seen something that looked like it down there? Like I said, when I moved to Texas, I haven't been back to Georgia. But one time that was my mom's funeral, and other than that, we went to that area. The house is gone now. It's a complete field now. Mr. L house is still down there. His son house is still down there. Brick houses. But our grandfather's house, it's been tore down, I guess. The pond's still there. Just a complete field. There's no mailbox. And me and my older brother just went down there reminiscing. We went down there to my in Abbey, Georgia, where we went through the woods down there. Just as big as Vienna. Matter of fact, bigger and wood-like areas. But never saw anything like that. Never heard anybody say anything like that until, I got on this podcast. I hear people from Georgia, certain parts of Georgia that I know about, say they seen them. Here in Texas. Up in Florida where my aunts stay and all that, but nobody ever said nothing about that. So I only hear it on these podcasts, but now I know that I'm one of them. I saw it. 2 hours or more looking at it. Directly at it. Couldn't mistake it for nothing at that time but a monster, but now I know that was a dog head. Ear went back just like this one. Snout pointed down. Eyes just like this dog. Mouth down. Black nose. Just like him. Same color. Same color. There was a time I thought I was looking at my reflection because I'm about the same color. I'm peanut butter color. A black guy. Peanut butter color. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, I seen my reflection. At that time, I'm trying to chalk it up. But until my brother said, "Did you see that thing in the window last night?" I'm like, okay. Yeah, I saw it. And I left the shotgun down. I used to take it home with me, my granddad's shotgun, back to Cartier. Then we go to Abbey, to my grandmother's house on my dad's side. We go down there. But I didn't take it. I left it. Buckshots, love buckshot. And that was for the protection of my granddad. Never told them what we saw. Never told anybody. Glad I didn't, because like I say, they never said anything over the years of coming back that one incident. And then, like I say, to this day, I wish I could see enough. I don't care what kind it is, what type it is. If I learned there's different types now, I don't care. I wish I could be passing by my car and just see one running in front of me. Yeah, standing inside the road looking at me. I'm just going to glance at, okay, thank you, bye. And I'll be satisfied. I still hope that. Because I want to see a full, the everything. I want to see the full body, not just the head and hands. That didn't satisfy me. Now it didn't satisfy me. Back then, I didn't care because now I'm young, like I say, fearless, thinking the shotguns were cannons, could stop anything. But I'm so glad that I got this dog because it finally put my mind at ease. I now know exactly what I saw. Big, giant, dog-like creature looking at me in the window. And I wish to this day I could have just seen the whole thing. I wish it would have walked off. And I wish I could have just peeped out the back door without it knowing and shined the flashlight on it just to see what his entire body looked like. Judging from the size of his head and his hand, it had to have been big. I know it was tall to actually look in that window unless it was standing up on that tire, but there was no, the tire was always locked up in the sheds, and they were old bald-headed tire, old used tire, but he always locked them up in a little small shed. And I wish I could have seen it. I wish I could have seen at least a track. If I had, since then, I wish I could have seen just how big the track was. Only thing I know, the coloration, how it looked, and it was tall. Over 8 feet tall. And to this day, I still can't believe it. Something that tall, head that big, hands that big, and wow. The same thing I watched on Mr. Condit thing, I saw one. I have joined those people. I've been a member of them all this while and just didn't know it. But now I do. And that's what happened. And I'm glad this dog pretty much put me onto it. And that lady that described it when she saw it took those two things to take me back there to finally identify what I seen. Because back then, the only dogs that I had was my granddad's house, my grandma and granddad's house on my dad's side was short muzzled little pit bull mixes. And like I say, the smallness of the towns we went to, that when nobody didn't have, you didn't see German Shepherds or other dogs with these long snouts. They just didn't have them. People didn't, Chiweenies, I didn't know what a Chiweenie was. Never heard the name. And the dogs we seen was these big Rottweilers, pit bulls, or either these, one lady had a Saint Bernard, and that's all I'm used to. That's all I'm seeing. Like I said, I never looked at werewolf movies. Over the years, I've seen Silver Bullet. It was the only one I actually sat down and watched the entire thing. And the only reason I watched it because I was intrigued about, I wanted that werewolf to get that boy's uncle because he didn't believe him. That's the only reason I watched it. But other than that, that's my encounter.
One thing's for sure, James, you definitely don't frighten easily, do you?
Oh no, I picked up rattlesnakes, 4 or 5 foot long rattlesnakes. I've, like I say, climbed tip top trees and all that. I've been in pens with bulls down there in Arabic, Georgia, with my dad's house when they were down there. They wanted to slaughter the pigs for them. I've done it for them. I've got in fences with aggressive dogs and all that. It did nothing scares me.
I'd say it doesn't.
Yeah, one thing scared me, a catfish.
A catfish?
I am not picking up a catfish. I will pick up a rattlesnake before I pick up a catfish.
What, because of the barbs?
That's right. And I tried, my brother caught a very big one at that same pond down there in Vienna, Georgia, behind my granddad's house. He caught a really big catfish out that pond. That pond was known for a big catfish. And it broke the line, and it was flopping, trying to get back into the water. And me being a dummy, ran over there and grabbed that fish by his head.
Oh,
and
no.
It made me turn it loose. From this day on, I would never touch a catfish. We got the fish because he grabbed it by his tail and pulled it up over that bank and threw it into the field. That's the only we got that fish. But from that day, and anybody that know me, they would tell you, two things James Glover will never do: eat a pickle or pick up a catfish. Never. I cut the line if I catch one, or I have somebody else take it off. They kept trying to show me, I don't know. Put your hand behind this bar. I'm not doing it. I'm not picking up a catfish. I take a stick and push it behind a rattlesnake head and then reach down there and pick him up. You'll pick up a rattlesnake before you pick up a catfish? Yes, I will. I sure will. I'm not picking up a catfish. I've been close to alligators fishing. We had one about 12 foot long in Cordial where I stayed at, that stayed in the pond, never bothered anybody. And I'm looking at it. It looked at me. I just walked by and just looked at it. It never did come at me. That's young, not scared of anything. And eventually, the thing, it did something, and they took it to the Albany Zoo. We were sitting there watching it. They tranquilized it and put it on something and took it to the Albany Zoo. They said it was getting too big for that pond. It was a pay pond that people can go there and pay the fish, and they paid for the fish by the pounds. And that thing was eating carps and other big fish, and they finally caught it, tranquilized it, trapped it, and took it to the zoo in Albany. And we were still watching them at their house. And it was pretty big. Another one, a guy had it in his pond, and he wanted somebody to eliminate it for him, and he got us to do it.
Yeah, I'd say you aren't afraid of anything if you did all those things, except for catfish, of course, for the reasons you laid out. Yeah, that catfish, that must have made quite the example of you to have so much fear of these guys, but I get it. It doesn't feel good when they sting you. We're over an hour into this, James, and I've got plenty of questions for you. Would you be okay with coming back for a part 2 so I could ask you all these questions? And I might be able to get some listener questions too that they want me to ask you as well. Would you be okay with that?
Sure. I sure would.
Oh, good. Well, that's what we'll do then. And hopefully when you come back for part 2, you'll have some good pictures of Zero you won't mind me posting so everybody can see him.
I'm going to get a picture of him in that same position. I'm going to capture a picture of him because he loved to do it. I just have to throw my arm up, and he loved to play. He'll stand up on his hind leg and throw his arm up, his 2 front paws across me and hold his head down and just look at me. And then I would just say, yeah. And those ears will go back. And if I can catch or have my son catch that picture, I'll send it to you. And just and then draw that up 100 times bigger. That's what I saw.
Well, that'll be the money shot. I sure hope you can get it. And yeah, like I told you, thank you so much for your time, for coming on and telling us all about that experience. And of course, I'm looking forward to having you come back for part 2.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it myself.
All right, great. Well, yeah, thanks again so much for your time, and I'll talk to you next week.